right, get that going. How's everybody doing on this wonderful evening? First week of June. How's it going?
We're good, Jesse.
Erica, how's it going? What's up? Oh, you muted now. You muted.
Hey, Jesse, happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Good to see you.
Likewise. Thanks for teaching today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We're getting everybody in. Yep, everybody is tapping in. Yeah. All right, we are going to get started. Um, All right, there we go. I'll check in on as people come in. So, welcome everybody to session 14 of Ignite. Today we're going to talk about win the buyer. All right. My name is Jesse Coleman. I am Director of Productivity and Director of Growth for KW1 Chicago and Chicago, Illinois. I'm also a KW University approved trainer. So with that, I get the privilege and honor to travel across the country and teach at different Keller Williams market centers. I just got back in town from Philadelphia and New Jersey teaching out there. So I do apologize if my voice is a little raspy. I've been doing a lot of teaching over the past 2 weeks. So bear with me. I will be drinking a lot of water as we go along today. Um, Again, session 14, we're going to talk about working with buyers, winning the buyers, and having that dialogue with them. Let me get my screen shared. And there we go. Um, All right. We're going to do win with buyers. You've been through 13 sessions so far, and now we're going to move on to the next 7 sessions. Before we get moving along, I do want to see how everything has been going with you all for your daily success systems. So, who would like to share some successes or some struggles that you all have been coming through as we'll be going through the process of Ignite? Come on, who's gonna share? Right. So I must warn you all, I have kids, so I am okay with silence because I don't get that a lot often with kids running around. So the longer we're in silence, I am okay with that. But I do need a few people to share how things have been going so far during your Ignite sessions. And then if there are some struggles, if there are some hiccups that you all have been coming across, I would love to hear that.
I'll jump out there. This is Charlie from Maryland side of the house. Over of what I've been gathering from attending all 13, 14 sessions as of tonight was how to get out there, learning the different ideas for door knocking, coming up with ideas of using your creating an elevator speech when you first meet someone. Many of my teammates here on the calls have mentioned various books, as other instructors have also, provided books and authors just to pick up and read and just discussing what scares you, how to get over that fear, uh, the challenges of uh, just you may have a neighbor, but just talking to that neighbor, other than saying, "Hey neighbor, how you doing?" But hey, do you know anyone that's looking to sell their home? So just being able to pivot the conversation towards purchasing, selling a home, and so just a variety of sessions and ideas is what I've learned. And I have a spiral notebook here, and I'm like halfway through it from taking all my notes just from instructors as well as listening from my counterparts here on the call. So yeah, I've got a lot.
Okay, perfect. I love that. I would definitely love to add a book to that list if it hasn't already been shared with you all. I'm pretty sure it had, but if not, it's called Rejection Proof. So pretty much with
No,
that book,
haven't heard that one.
you haven't heard? Yes. Boom. Perfect. So Rejection Proof is a book. Basically, the author put himself on 100-day rejection program where for 100 days straight he has to always ask something where he will get a rejection. So for example, he one of the times he went into Starbucks and he ordered a coffee drink from Starbucks, and he said he's not going to pay for it. Can he get it for free? Because he knew they were going to reject him. What ended up happening is it created that habit from where he was able to bulletproof himself from rejection, where it ended up getting going so far as that he was on Oprah. He was on a lot of these different shows where his whole thing was he just wanted to get over the fear of being rejected. So he made it his job to get rejected every single day for 100 days to help him be able to deal with rejection. And it ended up just catapulting him to a whole nother level where he was teaching classes on how to deal with rejection and things like that. I love that book for our industry and the business that we're in because I'm also a coach, like I said before, and a lot of the things that I talk about with a lot of the people that I coach is they're scared of rejection. They're fear of somebody telling them no and how it gets to them. So I highly recommend that book for anybody on here that's dealing with the situation of um the fear of rejection, the fear of somebody telling you no, they don't want to work with you, or no, they don't want to be a client, so things of that nature.
Is it by Jia Zhang?
I think so. Um, I can pull it up for you right now, but I'm pretty sure it is. It's
Hey
called
Maria,
Reject.
can you add that in the chat, Maria?
Of course, like
So much for hanging out this year on H2. A reminder, you can touch Rockstar's entire betting squad. They are so good at what they do, guys. Weekdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, H2 touch Sports Line with our
Yep,
entire
that is it. Thank you so much.
handicappers in a variety.
It's a easy, quick read, yet it gets right to the point of helping us get over that fear of rejection. All right. Anybody else want to share something, things that's been working, some success, or again, some challenges that they may be facing?
okay, I'm gonna say something. So I feel like I mostly struggle maybe with time management at this point. Because a lot of things going on, but I think those classes are helping us, to kind of get a head start and organize all those things. There's a lot of things, coming at us in the beginning. So I think that's very helpful, to get insight into pretty much, step by step, how to do our job. And that probably helps a lot with organizing time and getting there.
Yep. So one thing that I always recommend for that is brain dumping. So brain dumping of everything that you feel you have to do, and you just get it on paper. Here's what happened. Once we get things on paper, we start looking at it differently. We start looking at it as it's a jigsaw puzzle where we have to put the pieces together. And then as you're putting together, you're going to realize some things are more important than others. So you're going to take your to-do list and then you're going to chunk it down to a success list. The success list will be the top 5 things that you need to accomplish first. and then you can go after that and start inputting the other things. But again, first thing we want to do is get all those things out of our mind and on paper, because it's like having that squirrel brain. Oh, I got to do this. I got to get the kids from school. I got to do the laundry. I got to go grocery shopping. I got to pay the bills. Or I got to clean up this. Like, if you just keep going back and forth in your mind of everything that you have to do, it's going to just take you all over the place. But if you write everything down, okay, here's my to-do list. Now I'm finna chunking down more, and I'm going to create a success list from that. And these are going to be the top things that I'm going to focus on first.
I'm even gonna add to that, what I started doing is creating that list actually the night before. So that actually helps me to wake up with actually the mindset already being there of things that I have to do. Like, I don't do it in the morning, I try to do it the evening before. And I've learned that it helps a lot. Yeah.
Yep. I love that. Prepare the night before for the next day, and then you can hit the ground running the next day. Ebony.
Yes. For me, it is the information overload with the getting started with a lot. I mean, I love the training, but then I get kind of confused on, okay, what should I learn first? And I just getting acclimated with the setup. I'm still doing that, and I'm like, well, should I be marketing first or doing the database, or should I? It kind of feels overwhelming as far as so much of the training, and then just being a little bit older, my brain I can process stuff in small chunks. So the youthful brain is actually not that great right now. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting overwhelmed, even though I'm excited about the classes. And I'm like, oh, I want to take that. Oh, I want to take that. Oh, that sounds great. Da 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 da. And then when I get there, I'm like totally, brain meltdown of just information overload. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing that.
Yes.
Yeah. I can guarantee you that more than 80 or 90% of the people are feeling the exact same way. Here's how I look at it, and as I tell people. So, first thing, you all have only 5 things that you all should focus on as a realtor, and this comes from Gary Keller himself. Number 1, dialogue and role play. So, we used to call it script practice and role play, but now we call it dialogue and role play. That's 1. 2, lead generation. 3, lead follow-up. 4, go on appointments. And 5, negotiate contracts. Those are the 5 job descriptions of a real estate agent. Now, if we're newer to the business, the last 2 we probably don't have offhand. We probably don't have going on appointments and negotiating contracts. So here's how we supplement that. We do a contract every day. We just write it. So one day you write a purchase contract as if you had a buyer. The next day you write a listing agreement as you have a seller that you're going to work with. And then the third one you would do the buyer broker agreement. So once you do those things, you get familiar with actually doing the contracts. When you get your first client or your second client, you will already know everything that you would need to do with those actual contracts. Besides that, just getting new into the business, I would say the first thing is also focusing on utilizing Command. Okay, what are the classes based around getting familiar with Command, getting familiar with DocuSign? Once you do that, then you can start taking classes based around smart plans. Okay, I have everybody in my database. I know how to tag them. I know how to, get them in the system. Now I need classes on how to stay in touch with them, how to put them on drip campaigns. Okay, so those will be the things that I will start off, being a newer agent, because again, it's going to be like drinking from a fire hose, and there's going to be some classes that you go to that's not beneficial for you right now.
Okay, so just try to prioritize with that. So you said role play, lead generation. What was the third thing?
Lead follow-up.
Oh, lead follow-up, okay, and then practice contract?
Negotiate contracts and go on appointments.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Uh-oh, somebody just did something. Who just shared the screen? There we go. Thank you. So remember, if you're not negotiating contracts, that's the time you are getting familiar with your local contracts, your listing agreements, your purchase agreements, and then your buyer broker agreements. So I say practice one of those every day of just writing up one and getting familiar with doing it. Going on appointment phase. Number 5, if you aren't going on appointments, that's the time you are practicing your listing presentation and your buyer's consultation. Working with buyers is what we're going to go through today, and then I'm going to show you all my actual buyer consultation slide that I use with working with buyers. That way you can get an idea of what it is that you should put into your buyer consultation.
Okay,
So
great.
What-
Would you say that going on appointments would also include, knowing, researching or learning the market, like looking at properties or previewing properties, or no, that's too soon to do?
no, that would be something great to do. Like right now with the weather getting better, there's a lot of open houses. There are a lot of broker opens going on. Or even if you just want to focus on one area for farming, you can schedule previews for listings that's on the market in the area that you want to focus on, just so you can get familiar with properties in that certain area. So looking at
Okay.
layouts, looking at the different type of designs, the different type of finishes that they're using in the properties, so you can get familiar with those things.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Sharice?
Yes, I was gonna ask, as you were closing out that statement, what about brand new communities? Like they've just thrown up a whole, you could possibly say a city around the corner from where I live here in Maryland. And I'm sure the builders already have a real estate agent there on the property as people are coming through. But what is your take on that? Because I know I can't stand outside and possibly snatch up other possible clients. I'm just saying, but just need a little help of how
Yeah.
to get around that.
Yeah, so have you reached out to the builders and had a conversation with them? Because here's the things with builders, unless they have an in-house sales division,
Mhm.
they are open and willing to work with agents. So if it was me, I'll reach out to them and say, "Hey, I'm an agent in the area. I would love to shoot some content at some of your model homes because I would love to help get the home sold." And then I'm using that for one to get that conversation with them to build that relationship, and then also to shoot content so you can push out to the public and say, "Hey, if you're interested in one of these homes that's going to be finished soon or they are finished, I'm the person you need to reach out to because I have a relationship with the builders."
Okay, that's a good pitch. Thank you.
You're welcome. Because here's the thing: if they don't have an in-house sales department,
Mhm.
they want all the help they can get to
Right.
sell their properties. And right
Okay.
now, the way the market is going, a lot of builders are actually co-oping with buyer agents. Now, a few
Okay.
years ago, they wasn't. Now they're back to offering compensation. So this is your opportunity to build a relationship with them, shoot
Okay.
video content for your social media, and to help generate more business.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's get back into it. Okay, perfect. So today is the first day of a transaction. Our fourth and final segment of Ignite So you guys have covered pretty much a lot of stuff. Becoming the real estate expert of choice, by building up your value proposition. Remember, your value proposition is kind of like your elevator pitch, okay? Your value proposition is how you're going to help buyers and sellers solve their problem. That's what a value proposition is. A seller needs to sell their house by a certain date because they have to move for a job. That's the problem you're going to help them solve. And also remember, your value proposition can change over time. It doesn't have to be something that's set in stone. One seller problem, it can be different than another seller's problem. So you just make sure that you can adjust your value proposition to be able to solve the problem that the current client that you're working with needs to solve. Okay. You covered lead generation and lead follow-up. Lead generation and lead follow-up is how you get to where you are today, focusing on the buyer consultation and the agreement. So from here, we're going to cover the next session. You guys are going to cover the listing presentation, but today we're going to go into the actual buyer consultation. All right. So by the end of today, here's going to be the things that you're going to be equipped with. You're going to be able to identify a buyer and follow up with an appointment. You're going to be able to apply approaches to request an appointment from an A buyer. You're going to demonstrate your skill in handling buyer reluctance to committing to you. So there's going to be times where you're going to have to really be that decision facilitator for a buyer to help them realize that this is the time to purchase and that you are the agent that they need to work with. And then fourth, you're going to be able to explain your buyer consultation and the agreement. All right. So let's get started. Gary Keller tells us, everybody's familiar with Gary Keller, correct? Thumbs up or yeah, anything?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Somebody, all right.
Yes.
For you all who isn't familiar with Gary Keller, he is the co-founder and CEO of Keller Williams. All right. So Gary tells us the right approach to close for a meeting is the only approach. Just ask for it. As a real estate coach and as somebody who's been in the business for 18 years, I see it all the time that for some reason agents do not like to ask for the business. They do not like to close for the appointment. They'll have a good conversation with somebody and then they'll never say, hey, here's what's next. Let's get together and we can discuss your home buying needs. Let's get together. Let's discuss your home selling needs. We have to ask for the meeting. Okay. So let's be pretty clear. If you have a client that's able, ready, and willing, you must ask them to meet. Okay. If they say, hey, I'm thinking about buying, we're going to schedule an appointment to meet with them right away. Okay. So today's agenda, you're going to learn, you learned in the last session about qualifying buyers and why it's so important for you and for the buyers. First, let's talk about A qualified buyers. Here's what's a qualified buyer. Let me stop sharing my screen real quick. For me, in my local market in Chicago, Illinois, a buyer is anybody that's looking to purchase between 0 and 30 days. That is an A buyer for us in Chicago. There are some markets where an A buyer is somebody that's looking to move between 0 and 14 days. I'm pretty sure though that most of the markets is going to be the same thing. So an A buyer, anybody that's looking to move within 0 to 30 days. A B buyer, anybody that's looking to move 31 to 60 days. And a C buyer, anybody that's looking to move 61 days or more. Here's why it's important to know what type of buyer that we're working with, because we want to make sure we're putting our time, effort, and energy into the right client at the right time. One thing that a lot of us as agents do is that we put the energy of an A buyer into the energy of a C buyer, and then we get upset when that person is not serious about submitting the offer on the property. Okay? We're not gonna negate the C buyer or the B buyer. We're just gonna love them from a distance, sort of say. We're not going to follow up with them every day. We're not going to, hey, I just sent you some properties. You want to go look at the properties, and they go look at the properties and they're not ready to purchase, and then we're upset with them. So we want to make sure we're tagging in command our A, B, and C clients, so that way we can know when to touch them and how frequently we should touch them. Okay. All right. How do you follow up with an A buyer? Anybody would like to share? How do you follow up? How often do you want to follow up with an A buyer?
Every day?
Every day.
Bingo.
As much as possible.
Bingo. I wish we were in class together, because I'll give y'all like dollar scratch offs because y'all would write, and just give it to everybody. We can't do it virtually, but perfect. We are following up with them every single day. In the world of real estate, there's nothing like over communicated. You can never over communicate in real estate. Unless a person tells you out of their mouth, leave me alone, you can never over communicate. Because here's what's going to happen. You feel like you're over communicating. You take a week or two off from reaching out to an A buyer. Next thing you know, you see them on Facebook holding the key, saying, I just closed on my beautiful home. And now you're upset because you didn't follow up with them. So you can never over communicate. Van.
So let's say I'm always afraid of over communicate. So let's say I send a text to one of my friend, one of my former supervisor, my coworker. No response. How many days should I give it to them and then follow up again and say, hey, what's going on? What's cooking?
Right. So here's what I'll say to that. When we're following up with people too, what form of value are we providing? So if I'm following up with somebody, I'm not just following up, hey, you ready to buy? You ready to buy? I'm going to follow up and say, hey, I just want to give you an update of what's going on right now. My lender that I work with, they just gave me the mortgage rates for today. Here's the current mortgage rates right now. The next day I follow up. Hey, I remember you said you were interested in living in this neighborhood. Well, guess what? I have updated market analysis. Here's the average home prices for homes in that area that you said you were looking for. The next day, hey, I just want to give you some information. This new 4-bed, 2-bath home just came on the market today. It's listed for $450,000. This home is amazing. Let me know if you want to check it out. So there are ways that we can continuously reach out to them, and it's providing value. But it's for us, like, we're going to stay in touch with them. We're going to stay on top of them. Now, we do have to have a situation where it's like, okay, if it's been a week and a half, 2 weeks, and they haven't responded, maybe I'll pull back a little bit, but I'm still going to constantly communicate with them. Here's the reason why. I just had a seller that was expired in 2017 call me and say, hey, I get all your text messages, I get all your mailers. I'm ready to sell my house now. I wasn't ready for the past 6 years or so that you were reaching out to me, but I'm ready now. And you're the only person I wanted to reach out to because you're the only person that stayed in communication with me. So that's why I say, unless somebody tells you leave them alone, continuously reach out to them. Because here's the thing. We know life happens. Let's think about right now. School is out for the summer. The kids are coming home from college. There's a lot of stuff going on that real estate may not be the number one priority for people. But if you constantly remind them that you can help them with their real estate needs when they're ready, and the time comes that they are ready, you're going to be the one they remember because you're the one who's been constantly staying in touch with them. So again, until somebody tell me, leave me alone, I am going to continuously reach out to them.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's go back to the slides. All right, so here you guys have been going through this over the past few weeks, And this is the lead capture side. So you're going to have your prospecting and marketing, which is going to go into your database. You're going to have a lead. You're going to form those relationships. You're going to contact them to strengthen the existing relationships. Then you're going to go to step 3, and that's when you're going to prepare contact for conversion, repeat and rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Wow, when we're talking about a buyer, the A buyer is what we're going to call a lead. If somebody hasn't told you that they're thinking about buying and selling in a certain time frame, they are considered a contact. But if somebody said, "Hey, Jesse, I'm thinking about purchasing a home within the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months," I'm going to look at that person as a lead. And then that's going to determine, again, my communication style and my frequency of making sure I stay on top of them. All right. We just talked about this a little bit, but they tell us in the book. You take daily action, bringing value to the lead until you get the appointment to present them with your value proposition and what that means for them. Remember, it is not about us. It is about how we're going to solve a buyer's problem. People don't buy a home just because. People buy a home for a reason. They're downsized to become an empty nester. Their family is growing. There's a divorce. There's a death. There's going to be a reason why a person is buying. So we want to make sure that we know that situation and we can help them solve that problem. Any questions about the A buyers? All right, let's move on. Hold on, in the chat box. Are you calling for these updates, texting, or emailing? So that is a perfect question. So usually what I do is when I first have communication with somebody, I ask them what is the best form of communication for them. I say, are you a texter? Are you a phone person, or are you an email person? The reason I ask that because I want the best chance for them to have a conversation with me. If somebody is a texter and I constantly call them, they're going to be like, "Yo, I told you I like to text. Why are you constantly calling me?" So we're going to make sure we ask, what's the best form of communication for you? Are you a texter? Are you a phone person, or are you an email person? And that's how I'm going to follow up with them. Okay. Next, this is what's called the seven-step buyer service cycle. So 1, you're going to have a leads to appointment. You guys covered that in the lead generation and the lead follow-up section. 2 is going to be prepare for the buyer consultation, the transaction. We're going to talk about that today. 3 is getting the actual buyer consultation. We're going to talk about that today as well. Once you get past that, you have a buyer consultation. Here's what the buyer consultation is going to do for us. It's going to make sure that this is a client that is ready, able, and willing. And then it's going to see if this is a client that you want to work with. You don't have to work with everybody, okay? You do not have to work with everybody. I'm gonna say that until I'm blue in the face. If you tell during a buying consultation that this potential client isn't serious, or there's going to be some issues with them, you can easily refer them off to somebody else. Okay, the buyer consultation is for you to see if this is somebody you want to work with, and for you to educate them on the process. 4th, find a home. So that's going to be on day 16 in the transaction, working with buyers and sellers. Step 5, offer and negotiate contracts. That's going to be day 17 and 18. Step 6, contract to close. That's going to be transaction day 19. And then post-closing system, that's going to be day 19. So I teach a class for Keller Williams called Win with Buyers, and it highlights every one of these steps in a buyer service cycle. This is how your business should run. You get a new lead, you follow up with that lead until you can set a buyer consultation. You prepare for the buyer consultation, you have the buyer consultation, you get them to sign the buyer broker agreement, you show them homes, you submit an offer on the home, you get them under contract, post-closing system, and then once you help somebody purchase a home, where do you put them at next? It's kind of like a trick question.
Ask them for referrals.
Yep. Referrals, and they go right back to step one of the whole process. So now your buyer that you took through the 7-step buyer service cycle, now you're putting them in step one of the 7-step seller service cycle. Because that buyer is going to turn into a seller one day. So you just start them right back over at the beginning of the service cycle for a seller. So it's just a continuously, just constantly going in circles around and round. Okay. So far in Ignite, you've been prepared yourself for leads and contacts. Now you have a lead, and now we're gonna get to action. We're gonna put in the work to work with those leads.
Quick question, Jess.
Yes.
How do you determine the days in that wheel there that you outline? How are you determining the breakdowns of the days?
So if the breakdown for that is not more so days time frame, it's
Mhm.
just more so where in the transaction is at. So a
okay.
person can be in the lead phase for a month, 2 month, 3 month, 4 month, whatever the
Mhm.
case may be, until they're ready, and
Mhm.
then it's just going through the cycle. So it's not more so days; it's just more so the steps that they're gonna be in.
Okay, because I was equating that to you always want to try and close, quote unquote, in 30 days or 45 days or less or something like that. So that's why I was
Yeah.
I was
So
needing to.
yeah, well, so this is not. So you're thinking about the actual contract to close phase.
Mhm.
Contract to close phase, you're looking at 30 to 45 days. Well,
Okay.
depending on your market. I know you're on the East Coast.
Mhm.
I know for us, our market, it is about 30 to 45 days from getting
Mhm.
the actual contract in under
Mhm.
contract and then getting to the closing table. So
Mhm.
that's when you'll use a day time frame. But this cycle is just to keep you on track to make sure you're hitting every step that you should hit with the client that you're working with.
Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. So ahas from what we just went through. So we talked about working with an A buyer. We talked about what qualifies as an A buyer. Somebody that is able, ready, and willing to purchase a home within the next 30 days. Okay? That is what an A buyer is. Any ahas from this section?
All good.
Okay. Hey.
It's all good.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Yeah, I think
Well,
the 5 top things that you gave us earlier were pretty good. Like getting, the things that we should know, especially new agents, what we should focus on. I think, yeah, those were some because I could relate to what everyone was saying about feeling overwhelmed with all that we need to learn, the classes and everything. So yeah, learning or having that, knowing what to focus on, and then everything else will come together, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Because here's the thing to that point of if we're just focusing, yes, we want to have clients. Yes, if all of our focus is getting the clients, that when we get the clients, we don't know what to do with them, then it's like, holy crap. So if while we're working on getting clients, that's the time for us to be practicing how to do the listing and buyer contracts, practicing how to have a consultation with them. That way, when we do get them and they say, "Hey, Jesse, I'm ready to purchase a home." Well, guess what? Jesse has been working on practicing doing the offer contract every other day for 2 months. That I go right, okay, perfect. Let's get it signed. How do you want to, what are the stipulations you want to put in there? Like I know what to do. So us being prepared up front and not waiting until we get somebody to learn how to do these things. Okay.
I think an aha for me from this section was when you were talking about the different ways to add value when you're reaching out to a client, because I think that's something that I probably was a little hesitant about the idea of calling somebody like every day. But the way that you explained it in adding value in different ways, I think that was an aha for me.
Yep. And then I'm glad you brought that up too. So you do not have to call them every day. First day I'm calling you. The second day I'll send a MLS printout. I'll send that via email. Hey, I just think you should check and look at this because this is the area that you were focusing on. Here's some information that you should be aware of. Then the next one can be a text message. Like, so I don't want you all to get caught up in it. Oh man, I have to literally call this person every single day. You don't have to call them every single day, but you could do some form of communication with them and it's providing some type of value for them.
Okay.
Again, text message can be, hey, I just spoke to my lender. Here's a screenshot of what my lender told me about where mortgage rates are today. Boom, send that to them. The next one can be a phone call. The next one could be an email. But at the end of the day, if we reach out to people with value, and it's not going to feel like we're just trying to solicit their business, to get business for them. We're trying to provide them with the information that they need because they want to purchase a home. And guess what? We are the local expert of choice that's going to give them all that information that they're looking for.
This is kind of like the touch for text, touch for email, touch for messaging, so on and so on.
Yep.
Not
exactly.
necessarily that you're actually talking to them on a day-to-day basis, but it's just like I touched them with a text, I touched them with a voicemail, and so on and so on.
Yep. There's so much going on in the real estate world or in the local market that there's a lot of reasons that we can touch people. And it's not just saying, are you ready to buy right now? Hey, you thinking about buying right now? Hey, you ready to buy right now? Like, we don't have to do that. We can provide them with so much information that they'll say, you know what, Jesse, you gave me information about the mortgage rates. You gave me information about the neighborhood I was thinking about moving in. You gave me information about the new mall or the new restaurants that they're gonna be building. You are very knowledgeable. You are a real estate professional. You are the person that I'm going to work with because you just gave me this information that I didn't know was important, but once you gave it to me, I see that it is important. Let's see, where do we get information about the neighborhoods that they want to buy in? Here's the funny thing about it. You can Google the neighborhood. Like literally, you could just Google the neighborhood and it's gonna let you know if there's a new restaurant, if there's businesses leaving leaving the community or businesses coming into the community. And then a lot of the communities, a lot of the areas, they have Chamber of Commerce. You can go on the Chamber of Commerce email and get information about what's going on in those certain areas too. And then you're able to provide all that information to the potential buyer. And again, you're providing them with information that will be important to them once they move to that area and when they live there. Okay, let's keep moving. All right. Now we're going to talk about how to convert those AIB leads into buyer consultation appointments and where you can win with the buyer. Keys to converting your A buyers. So as we discussed, the keys to converting the A buyers is to make sure that we are providing value to them. So first one, respond right away to lead inquiry. So if you have a lead that comes in, you want to make sure you get right on top of that lead. Hey, this is Jesse Coleman with Keller Williams. I just saw you were looking at homes on my website. Can I answer any questions for you? Like right away, we're just getting right to it. Part two, you're going to get valid and complete contact information and save it into command and create an opportunity. Okay. Once you get a contact information from somebody, we're putting it into command right away. We're not wasting time. And we're going to create an opportunity. Here's why we want to create an opportunity right away. For one, you want to know how healthy your business is. You can see all of that right there in the opportunities. You can say, oh, okay, I have 6 leads right now. I have 2 appointments. I have 1 active buyer, 1 active listing. You can see how healthy your business is. That way you can know what it is you need to work on and what it is you need to increase. 2, the second part is when it's time to get paid, I know you all want to get paid right away. So we want to make sure we have everything in command going right away. That way, when it's time to get paid and you close the transaction, only thing your market center is doing is waiting on the commission check, and they can process it right away. So we want to get in the habit of we get a contact, we get all the contact information, we're going to put it into command. We're going to create an opportunity for that buyer. That way we can make sure we see how full our pipeline is, and we can make sure that we're staying on top of things. Then step 3, determine their motivation to buy so you can speak to it. Everything always goes back to motivation. A buyer is going to get buyer's remorse before they even purchase the home. I had a client that totally freaked out when it was time to write the offer contract, not submit it. When it was time to fill it out, he just totally freaked out. So this is where we have to be cool, calm, and collective and remember the motivation. Say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I totally understand this is the big situation for you, one of the biggest purchases that you will ever do. And remember, you said you needed to move by such and such date because you're starting a new job, or you want to be moved before the school year starts so your kids can be settled before they start school because your current lease is up. This is the time that we always go to the motivation. So we want to make sure we know the true motivation of why they're buying a home, because we're going to have to tap into that a lot throughout the process. Okay. After we know their motivation and we see, okay, this person is serious, now we're going to set an appointment. Time and date for as soon as possible. Best to do these appointments in your market center or in a public place for safety. Here's the thing. And we are doing this virtually. Ever since COVID happened, all of my buyer consultations have been virtual. I have not had an in-person buyer consultation in years. So if you do want to do an in-person buyer consultation, that's perfect. And you can have the same buyer consultation virtually. You can have your slideshows going. You can have all those things available for you to do it virtually. Okay. All right. So remember, we want to set the appointment for as soon as possible. Get the appointment set, and then we'll be ready for the appointment. Okay. Check in. Yep, you can take notes and ask questions during a meeting with them, so you can go back and remind them what they told you when they forget. And they're gonna always forget what they tell you. They're gonna always forget. That's why we have to make sure we do what's called active listening. We are
Hey,
listening.
Jesse.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off, Jesse. Just real quick, you say you need your buyers um, over Zoom? Are you just using Zoom or any other platform, or is Zoom the best?
I like Zoom because Zoom helps me share screen quick. Like I can share between different screens pretty fast. Google Meet is a little bit harder to switch quick through different screens. So I do
Mhm.
Zoom.
Okay,
Here's the
thank you.
and here's the funny part about that. Um it's funny because I'm kind of mad that I don't have the free Zoom account anymore because you know the free Zoom account give you a time limit. So that is great practice for you to hit the points you need to hit, dig deep into their motivation in a certain amount of time. Like 45 minutes, that is more than enough time for you to explain the buying process and spend time on what's important to them, what's their motivation to be able to get in and out. So that's why I like Zoom because again, I'm able to share multiple screens to be able to go through the presentation pretty quickly.
Okay, thanks for that, Jesse.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions or anything that pops up to you all from that little section that we went to? All right, so quick recap. Keys to converting A buyers: respond right away to their lead inquiry, give valid and complete contact information so you can save it into command and create an opportunity, determine their motivation to buy so you can speak to it. Again, this is very key. We're going to talk a little bit about this during the actual buyer consultation, but remember, we're going 3 deep. If I say, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, what are you looking for? They say, Jesse, I want a big backyard. I'm not just going to say, okay, perfect, big backyard, and go to the next question. I'm going to say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, what's important to you about having a big backyard? Well, you know what, Jesse, we like to have family over. Okay, perfect. So what would it do for you and your family to have a big backyard? Well, Jesse, my parents, they're a lot older. We don't know how many more years we're gonna have with them. So we like to have a big backyard so we can have all our friends and family over to spend time with my parents to celebrate their life. Like when now I really got deep into the reason why they want a big backyard. Not just because they want it, but because their parents are getting older and they want to have enough space so all their family can be together to spend time with each other for family time. So that's that motivation that I want to know. Again, oh, we want a house with no stairs. Okay, what's important to you about not having stairs? Well, my husband had hip and knee replacement. Stairs really messes with his knees. We want to make sure we get somewhere where we don't have to worry about him falling or a situation where he can't make it up the stairs. Perfect. I got the real meaning why they don't want stairs. So these are things, again, we're going 3 questions deep to get the actual meaning around what it is they say they want and why they want it. All right, now we're going to go into 7 close to appointment tactics. So there's more than this, but here are the top 7 closes that you can use to close for an appointment. So the first one is show the benefits. So in general, people are more than likely to go along with something you suggest if you explain the benefits to them. So for example, it says, if spending 30 minutes with me could save you hours of time and thousands of dollars in your home search, would that be a benefit for you for us to meet? So I like to show the benefit one is one of my big ones because it's showing that you're thinking about them. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, what if I can save you hours of time and thousands of dollars in your home search? Wouldn't it be beneficial for us to meet? You're making it about them. Again, it's never about us. It's always about them and us making sure we look out for them. Number 2, take back close. This technique puts a tempting offer in front of the buyer, then creates a fear that they may not be able to get it. So they give us an example and say, I've enjoyed talking with you. To be honest, I don't know whether I can be of help with you or not. However, I'd be honored if we can meet to find out. How does tomorrow work? So you're putting it out there that, hey, you know what? I don't know if I can help you, and maybe we should get together so we can figure that out. Okay. So next one is the negative positive close. This is another one that I like. This is a way of backing into the appointment to close. Would you be offended if I asked if we could meet to go over all these in a little bit more detail? I'm free tomorrow. What time works for you? So it's kind of like, I don't want to say guilting them, but it's like, would you be offended if, I say we need to meet to discuss your home buying needs? Next, give them what they're looking for. Quickly pique the buyer's interest by giving them what they are looking for. Information on interesting comparable properties. So you would say, yes, let's meet in my office and I can give you the specific details about the property and let you know about similar properties for sale. What times works for you? So they told you the type of properties that they're interested in, and this is the closing that we're going to use to say, hey, I'm going to give you information about all of those properties that you said you're interested in, plus more that you haven't even seen yet. Number 5, the trial close. Trial close tests the waters first. You should find out whether you and the client genuinely agree. So it'll sound something like this. Can you see how receiving a list of all the new homes on the market in your price range will help you in your home search? Great, let's meet. Okay. Assumptive close. Assumptive closes assumes the close and prevents them from saying no. It sounds like we should meet. I'm available most times this week, so what works best for you? Great, see you then. That one right there, from all the classes I taught and all the agents I talked to, that's one of the ones that they use a lot too, the assumptive close. It sounds like we should meet. So if you're talking to a potential buyer, and they're sharing some of the struggles that they went through, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. From the sound of that, it seems like that we should definitely get together so I can help show you the right way to do things. So that's one that a lot of people use too. And then number 7, tie down. Tie downs are phrases that ask for confirmation, expressions like, wouldn't that be great? Or forming questions. Can't you? Isn't it? And wouldn't you? Ask for agreement and get your customer into a pattern of saying yes. So here's what it say. We'll save hours on your home search if we meet in the office first. Saving time is important to you, isn't it? So you're putting it on them. Like, isn't saving time most important to you? So any feedback on any of these things, or if it's one that you want me to do over again, or just any questions that you have about the closings?
Go over the assumptive close again. I thought that was sounded like it's doable for me.
Okay. Yes, the assumptive close is again one that a lot of us use. So assumptive close again assumes the close and prevents them from saying no. So it would sound something like, it sounds like we should meet. I'm available most times this week. So what works best for you? So if you were to tell me, Candace, if you would say, hey Jesse, I was looking on Zillow, and then every time I saw something on Zillow, it wasn't active, or the information they gave me wasn't right. I'll say, you know what, Candace, from the sound of it, it seems like that we definitely should meet. Because it seemed like you're having some struggles going through trying to do it through Zillow. So it sounds like we should meet. I have this time available. Thursday at 1 or I have Friday at 3. Which one works best for you and your schedule? So here's the thing too, I want you all to remember. Never ask them, hey, can we meet? Say, I have this day available at this time and I have this day available at that time. Which one works best for you? It's always which one works best for you. Because what happens is that if we just ask them flat out, can we meet? They're going to automatically say no. It's just something about that trigger. Same way if you ask somebody for their phone number. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Byer, can I have your phone number? Oh, well, I'll give you a call. Or I say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Byer, what is the best phone number for me to reach you at? And then it's just something where they just automatically just spit it out. Hey, what's the best email address for you? So we want to make sure we're using those things. Are these written down somewhere? I'm not at the manual time. Yes, they are in the manual. Right. Any other questions around the clothings? All right, we good with the closing? Thumbs up. All right, perfect. All right, so buyer objections to the appointment. So when a buyer, so let me ask you this real quick. When a buyer objects to meeting with you, what are your first thoughts? So if a buyer says, no, I don't think we should meet, what are the first thoughts? Is it rejection? Do you think that is definitely a no? What are some of the thoughts that go through your mind?
Maybe a bit wary or scared.
Okay, I saw rejections in the chat. And then I
It
just
makes
heard,
me feel like I didn't do a good enough job in
okay,
my spiel.
okay. Makes you feel like you didn't do a good enough job. All right.
Makes me think they're not ready yet.
Okay. Like that.
Did I
So-
sound confident enough to where it, did I sound confident enough as a real estate agent?
Gotcha. Okay. All those are fair. And what if I told you that those are all limiting beliefs, that those are not true? Objections are good. So I want you all to remember that. Objections are good. Here's the reasons why objections are good. They are telling you that, hey, I would meet with you if you handle this objection. They're giving you the opportunity to answer any questions that they may have to help them get over the hump to meet with you. So when we think about objections, those are good, okay? Objections are good. Objections are the potential client saying, hey, I would meet with you, yet this is the only thing that's holding me from meeting with you right now. Can you answer this question for me? Okay? So we got to remember, objections are a response like, I don't know enough yet. You haven't answered the right question yet. You know, things like that. They're giving you a sign. They're pretty much holding up a sign saying, I will meet with you if you answer this question for me. Okay? So a lot of agents walk away from the first objection somebody give them. We're not going to do that, okay? Somebody gives us an objection, we're going to get excited. We're going to be like, yes, this person wants to work with me. I just have to make sure I answer this question that they have. Candace, which is that you can say in our buyer's consultation, we will definitely go. Yep. So now you can go back to the assumptive close. You know what, Candace? That is an amazing question. That's exactly why we need to meet, because that is one of the first things that we're going to go through in the consultation once we get together. I have Thursday at 3 available or Friday at 2. Which one works best for you?
Yeah.
So you can tie that into the actual closing to get to the consultation. And so remember, we're doing active listening. So as Candace is telling me her objection, I am going to show her what on the screen or face to face, me writing down what that objection is. So not only she see me listening and taking it in, but I'm also going to write it down so she can know I'm very serious about handling the objection that she has. Okay. Then we're going to review the 5-step system. It's in your participation guide, but we have it here on the screen too. So ask questions. We're going to investigate deeper. Ask, tell me more about that. Help me understand. Okay, Candace. So what I'm hearing you saying is that this is a potential issue for you. Tell me more about that. Oh, okay. Can you help me understand that a little bit more? We want to get deeper and ask more questions. Okay. Then 2, we're going to empathize. Acknowledge and say, I clearly understand how you feel. We never make people wrong. If a buyer tells you that 2 plus 2 is 100, we say, I totally understand how you feel. And can you give me a little bit more information about that? Can you help me understand how did you get to that? But we're never going to say, no, that's not right. 2 plus 2 is 4. It's not 100. Because then that's how they get their defenses up. So again, we're going to acknowledge what they say, oh, I can totally understand how you feel about that. And then we're going to go back to saying, hey, can you help me understand a little bit more? 3, we're going to identify the real issue. Reinstate what you heard and ask for confirmation. Okay, so Candace, what I'm hearing you say is that you would meet with me if I can provide a form of value of showing you why it's important to meet with me before we go see properties. Is that what I'm hearing you say? And then let them reconfirm with you. And then another reason we do that is identifying the real issue. We want to isolate it. So it'll be something like this. So Candace, besides me not showing you the value of working with me, is there any other reasons why we can't meet Thursday at 3 or Friday at 2? And she'll probably say, no, Jesse, if you can tell me why it's important to meet with you, I'm willing to meet with you. Okay, perfect. Then go to step 4, gonna offer the solution. And then after that, urge an agreement, ask again for the appointment. Also, we are asking for the appointment 5 times. My old coach, my old mentor, he used to make me sit down when I lead generate and have 5 pennies. And every time I ask for the appointment, I move 1 penny to the other side. I ask for the appointment again, I moved another penny to the other side. If by the 5th penny I don't get an appointment, then this is a situation that we'll have to I'll have to readjust or say, okay, maybe this person really isn't able, ready, and willing right now. Okay. Who's familiar with our Y4C2Ts? I know we got a lot of new KW people here. So anybody's familiar with our Y4C2Ts? Oh man, okay. So pretty much that is what Keller Williams go by. So I wish I had the slide up real quick. I don't have it. But it's like win-win or no deal, integrity, do the right thing, commitment in all things, communication seeks first to understand, customers always come first. Like it, we have those things. So I will challenge you all to get your Y4C2Ts and then start familiarizing yourself with those. Yep, you read them. Yep. So in this situation here, what we're talking about, the Y4C2Ts that apply to this is communication. So for communication, we're going to seek first to understand. Then another one is trust. Trust starts with honesty. And then the next one is commitment in all things. So when we're talking about the 5-step system for the objection handler, those are going to be the things that we're thinking about. Communication, we want to seek first to understand. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, help me understand what it is that's holding you back right now. And then we're going to be truthful. We're going to have trust. Trust starts with honesty. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I'll be very transparent and honest with you. And then the next is commitment. Okay, this is my commitment to you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. Here's what you can expect from me, and here's what I expect from you. They tell us if a buyer continues to object to meeting after you've addressed their concerns and offered solutions, continue to cultivate the relationship and provide value just as you would if there was a lead or a contact into your database. So again, for me, I used to do the 5 penny thing. If after the 5th penny, I'll say, okay, right now they're not, thinking about doing anything, and I'm going to continue to drip on them. I'm going to continue to follow up with them over time until they're ready. All right, make sure I'm not missing nothing in the chat. Perfect. Okay, ahas from that section.
Well, I have had, I had typed this in the chat that I think, well, for listing presentations, but actually for buyer consultations as well. Newer agents being able to, can you hear me?
Yep.
Newer agents being able to communicate their value proposition to me is a challenge. But when you just mentioned the Y4C2Ts, that is a list of the most important things that Keller wants us to follow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's seeking to understand, trust and honesty, commitment in all things, just like you mentioned, and I don't have them all memorized. But honestly, my aha is I can take that and use that in my lister and buyer consultations and say, this is what Keller teaches us, trains us, expects of us, and you can be sure of it that I will follow this when I'm working with you. So thank you so much, because this is going to help me with my buyer and listing value proposition.
Yep. Here's the thing.
Getting that list is going to be very helpful. I'm going to get it.
Yep. And I tell new agents this all the time. Use that. Like your value proposition. If somebody say, why should I work with you? Well, you know what? For me, I make sure there's a win-win situation. If there's not a win-win situation, there's not going to be any deal. Another thing is I am very customers come first. I'm going to make sure your needs and wants come first. The next thing is communication. I'm going to make sure I seek first. I'm going to understand what it is that you want. And then I'm going to show you my commitment. I have commitment through all things, and it's going to be me working with you, and I'm committed. Like you can literally go through that and say, this is the value of working with me. And you can just read off the Y4C2Ts, and they're going to be like, oh man, this is amazing. You are the person that I want to work with.
Right. And then of course, Keller being a world-renowned name, respected, when that red sign is in or whatever sign, Keller sign is in their front yard, everybody knows that. They know they can trust the person that is going to be working with them. Everything will be done up and above board. So that can be said pretty quickly as well, and everybody knows that, right? But you just reiterate it.
Yep, exactly. So for all of my newer agents, you can take our Y4C2Ts, and that can be your value proposition.
Is that an acronym? What is that? Why? What does
Yep.
each
I got it for
letter
you. I got it
stand
for you
for?
right here. 1 second. It's funny because I have to do this every morning on my leadership call, and I forget it sometimes. All right, so it stands for win, win, or no deal. Integrity, do the right thing. Customers always come first. Commitment in all things. Communication, seek first to understand. Creativity, ideas before results. Teamwork, together everyone achieves more. Trust starts with honesty. Equity, opportunities for all. And success results through people. Yep. Gwen just dropped it in the chat. Perfect. Here's the funny thing about it too. There's actually a dance that goes along with it. So it's like it's a whole thing like win win or no deal. Communication, seek first like there's a whole dance that goes along with it. And again, we have to do it every morning on our leadership call. I don't do the dance, but yeah. Again, you can create your whole buyer and listing value proposition based off of these things right there.
Don't you think, though, that number 3 should be clients always come first?
Well, so that's the tricky part. Again, if they haven't signed the actual agreement yet, they're not considered a client. You know, there's a lot of
Yeah.
red tape that
Well,
we have to
customers,
deal
you're
with.
fair. Customers, you're fair and honest with them, but clients, right? You're dedicated and loyal and in a fiduciary relationship. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. We good on that? All right, perfect. So now we're going to go to the buyer consultation checklist. All right, so here's the checklist. First, we're going to confirm the date and time. This may seem funny, and for some reason, I don't know why realtors do not want to confirm the appointment with the clients. I don't know if they're scared that a person is going to say, oh, you know what, I can't meet with you. I'd rather know that up front than me just thinking that I'm going to meet with somebody and they forget. So we're always going to confirm the appointment date and time. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, this is Jessica Coleman with Keller Williams. We have an appointment today at 8 p.m. Does that time still work for you? Yes. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to confirm the location. You received the Zoom link for us to meet, correct? Yes, I got it. Okay, perfect. You can literally just go through this whole checklist. 3, will you and your husband still be available for our meeting today? Yes, he'll be there. Perfect. And then you can send over a buyer's guide, prepare to meet in space, and then review the lead sheet. Okay. Why do you think this is a trick question? Why do you think it's important for all the decision makers to be there?
Because you can get information that you get conflicting information. You know, what 1 minute they want, you know, the 3-bedroom close to the metro, and then after consulting with the husband, oh no, we need, you know, we need something totally different. I had
Yep.
that happen before.
And then you know what's funny too? Another part is that they will never be able to articulate and share what you told them to the person that wasn't there.
Yeah.
They will never be able to. Yep, and Tony, you're right, because we need all of them to sign their agency agreement. Yep. But they would, especially, I know we're talking about buyers, but you're going to go through this for the listing side. Do not go on a listing appointment if both decision makers are not there. You can give the greatest listing appointment known to man, and if the spouse isn't there, they're going to remember 35% of what you said, and they're going to say it 10% right. So if all decision makers are not going to be there, it's nothing wrong with rescheduling for them to be there. Yep, it's a waste of time. Okay. And again, so we're confirming the appointment, and we're going to make sure all the decision makers is going to be there. The top 10 service areas of a value proposition. We already talked about this. It's going to be a needs analysis, pre-qualifying or pre-approval. Everybody know the difference between the pre-qualification and the pre-approval, correct?
Not sure.
Okay. So a
I get them
pre-qual.
mixed up. I get them mixed up.
Well, here's the easiest way to remember it. Pre-approval, good. Pre-qualification, not too good. Pre-qualification, they're just qualifying them. They get an ID, they get the name, social security number. Oh, they're pre-qualified. A pre-approval is they got some of their documentations. So they got some W-2s, they got their bank statements. They got information that they need to be able to get them approved. Well, it's not even the agents, Marla. Sometimes the lender, just to rush things, will just give a client a pre-qual. So it's not us as agents, it's more so on the lender side where they're rushing it out just to, get person a letter to be able to submit an offer. But me as a listing agent, if I see a pre-qual over a pre-approval, I'm going back to the buyer's agent and say, hey, can you get me a pre-approval letter?
So is that usually clearly like stated on the paperwork that they bring?
Yeah. So on the paperwork, it'll either say pre-approval or it'll say pre-qualification. Yep. And then number 3, neighborhood information, home search, make an offer, negotiation to buy, vendor coordination, pre-close preparation, closing, and post-close system. So these are things that you can talk about in your buyer consultation. Okay. All right, buyer guide content. So not everybody uses a buyer guide. And if you are going to use a buyer's guide that you're going to send out to your buyers before you have your buyer consultation with them, here are some of the things that you can highlight in there. So welcome letter, timeline of buying process, I will highlight that. So welcome letter and timeline of buyer process, I will put that in there. I'll put number 5, introduction value proposition. I'll put that in there. You could put in the interest rate chart, but they should already be having that conversation with the lender. I am very big on staying in my lane. I don't like to cross over into the lender's lane. I don't like to talk too much about rates because that's the lender's job, and I never want to overstep my boundaries. So I may not put anything in there about interest rates. Mistakes to avoid, number 13. Number 14, big one, buying questionnaire. So having them fill out questions, what are they looking for? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? What are the areas that you're looking in? Do you have a pet? How big is your pet? You know, here's a weird question, but it's a great question. What size is your bedroom set? Do you have a California king with a big dresser? Not like you want to know these things because you would hate to find them the perfect home and then they have to decide on if they're going to get rid of their bedroom set because it doesn't fit in the master bedroom. And then those are really the only things that I will highlight in the buyer's guide because I want my buyer's guide to be able to use for everybody and not one that's just specific to one person. I want it to be broad where I can send that to every buyer before I meet with them. Any questions about the buyer's guide? All right. For some reason, my clicker is not
You
working.
make the buyer's guide? I don't understand really. That's ideas for a buyer's guide, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I've
so
never
it
seen
could
a buyer's guide.
So if you go to KW Command and you go to designs, you can customize the buyer's guide. So I always tell people, do not try to recreate the wheel. Go to the buyer's guide and plug in your information in there, and then you'll be able to see things that you want to change. Okay. This is very simple and easy to do. Here's the thing, we are not wasting our time on non-money generating activities. Creating a buyer's guide is not money making activities. So we're going to go into Command. We're going to do your guide to home ownership, and then we're going to just plug in our information in there. We're going to change some things around for it to fit us, and we are not going to take up too much time doing the buyer's guide. Because here's the funny thing. 7 times out of 10, the buyer's not even going to look at it. Yet we want to send it to them because we want to show them that we are professional business owners and we have things every step of the way. They'll say, "Hey, I got your buyer's guide. That was great. You know, that's perfect. You did that." And okay, so did you get a chance to go through it? Oh, you know, the kids was running around. I had stuff to do, but I saw it and I'm glad you sent it over. Like just knowing you sent things like that to them, it's going to stand out to them. So you have your buyer's guide in Command, and then right here, it'll show you the table of content, pretty much what the buyer guides look like. Okay.
Can you quickly just tell me where in Command I could find that?
Yep. So if you go into Command and then you go to Designs, you'll click on Designs. Once you click on Designs, you can put I think it's gonna be Print. You click on like you want to print that, and then it'll show up in there for to be able to use the guide in there.
Silly question. Do we have one for sellers?
Yep. I was just going to say that. It's funny you said that because I was literally going to say you can do the same thing for your listing presentation too.
Super.
Okay. And then next, your dream home. So the first page sets the tone for your relationship. It starts asking buyers to explain their dream home and what it is that they're looking for. So this will be the page there. And then this section here is the preference profile. This profile is about uncovering expectations and preferences for communication and an anticipated timeline for your buyer. So remember, it's important to set and revisit expectations. Here's the thing I want you all to remember through the whole process of buyers and sellers. This key phrase, here's what happens next. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, here's the next step. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, here's what's going to happen next. We're always preparing them for what's going to happen next. Okay, so every time we have a conversation with a buyer or seller, before that conversation is over, we're going to say, here's the next step. Here's what's going to happen next. Here's what we're going to do. Because again, we always want to set that expectation. We always want to let them know what's going to go on. Okay. So next, buyer's guide home. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Let me check the chat. I just saw something pop up. So that is a good question. So for this one here that they have this set up where it is inside of the actual buyer's guide. Excuse me. That they'll have before the consultation. Now, I would say use this for now, and for me, I pull a lot of this out, and this is inside my actual consultation because I want to have this conversation with them as we're going over everything.
Okay, what about the previous 2 slides? Was that,
That's right.
is that in the guide or put that in the consultation?
So this one right here,
Yeah, the preference profile and all that.
this will be in the guide. Yeah, this will be in the guide. So
Okay.
this is so I can say, okay, how do you want to be communicated with? When is the best time to reach you? If there's an update, how soon do you want to have that update? So I'm putting this in the guide beforehand.
Okay, is that something that they get back to? Is that something that if we send it to them beforehand, did they get back to me with that, or we go over that in the consultation?
So here's what I do. Let me share my secrets with you all. You know what? I ain't got no problem with sharing that. I actually
Please.
send this in a Google form. So I'll let me hurry up and pull it up for you. Let me close out of that. Let me go here. Google form. Let's see. All right, perfect. Let me share my goods with y'all. You know, y'all family. All right, so this is what I send out prior. So I send out a link for this. So I put the guide in an email, a PDF for them to do it, and then in the message that I say, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, can you please take some time to fill out this information form that I have? That way I can save you time during our consultation. So I let them tell me if they are A, B, or C buyer. So they'll check which one they are, name, phone number, email, who all will be involved in the purchase decision. I want to know what their current situation is. Are they currently renting? Do they own a house and they need to sell? Because if it's a buy sale situation, I want to know because I'm going to create a CMA for their current house so we can go over listing it as well. And then right here, I said preferred method of communication, email, phone call, text, or other. Have you spoken to a lender? If so, what is your lender information? And then property type. Are you looking for a condo, townhome, single family home? Like they're filling out all of these things. Ideal purchase price range. So these 2 questions are important. What is your ideal purchase price so I can know what they're willing to spend, and how much are you willing to spend monthly? Here's why that kind of question is important. If they're dealing with an area where there's no HOA and the property taxes are low, they can go higher on their purchase price because it's still going to put them below where they want to be monthly. So I asked them, okay, where do you want to be monthly? That way I can do some math when we're looking at certain properties and say, well, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, this home is actually more that you wanted to purchase, and taxes are low, there's no HOA, so your monthly payment will actually be lower than what you said you wanted to spend monthly, but you do have to do a little bit more on the purchase price. So I asked that question. Bedrooms, bathrooms, bed sets and bed size and bathroom set, bedroom set again to make sure that the
this-
room sizes match.
Is this in command, you said?
No, I created this.
Oh,
Did
What
you
I
create
can't,
this from the, you created this from the buy, you got this information from the buyer's guide and created this?
well, actually, I created this from a sheet that I had a while ago. What I can do is I'll drop the link for this in the chat, and you guys can just R&D it. You can go to Google Forms and just take everything that I have on here and just create your own form from it. There's no sense of you all trying to come up with your own questions when you could just use this. So basement type, garage, home styles. If they have a pet, what's your pet's name? What's your pet size? Like
Yeah,
the
this
whole
is
thing.
great stuff. This is amazing. I love, this is wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So what I'll do is I'll put the link to that in there. And then all you have to do is just open up a different tab. And then you can create yours strictly from that.
I have been looking this kind of script since last. I got my license last 3 years back. I was part time, and now I'm full time. I've been looking this kind of. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, I just dropped it in the chat for you all. So again, so what you'll do is you'll click on it, and then in a different tab, you'll go to Google Form, and then you could just copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, and create your own, use your own one from there. And again, I send that out to them before we meet. That way I can have all those questions answered. And then when we meet, I'm just going to go over those things.
Do you have something for listing too?
For the listing side,
Yeah.
I do, and you guys are going to be doing listings tomorrow, and we got just like 20 minutes left, and I got to get through the
Okay,
rest.
thank you. No issue. Thank you.
But this is what I'm going to do, because again, we are all family. I'm putting my email in the chat. Shoot me an email, and I can send over my listing information for you all.
Thank you so much.
So I tell you, we gonna work through it. I'm gonna make it happen for y'all. So yeah, just shoot me an email, and then I can send over the list and stuff for you. All right, let me get back to here. All right, back at, okay, perfect. There we go. All right, so yeah, so you don't have to worry about building this out. What I just sent y'all the Google form, that's gonna have them answer all the questions that you're gonna need for working with them, and then you'll just review that with them during the consultation. Okay. So they're gonna answer all those questions already, so we don't have to worry about that. Neighborhood insights. So this is what you would use if you wanted to put information inside of the buyer's guide about the area that they're moving in. I'll be very transparent with you. I don't do that because that wastes us too much time. My buyer's guide is going to be tailored for every buyer that I work with, no matter what area they're looking for, because I want to be able to use that one guide for everybody. So I don't put anything in the buyer's guide about certain neighborhood that they're interested in. home buying and homework. So we're gonna skip through this part because I want to get to the actual consultation.
Can I
Because
ask
a
a
lot
quick
of
question?
yes.
My battery just died as you were sharing that jewel of a questionnaire. And unfortunately, it doesn't show the past chat messages. I hate to
Okay.
ask you to share it again. I am so sorry.
No problem. Hold on real quick.
Thank you.
Let me go here.
I just
Oh,
resent.
okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So it was just reshared and you got it. All right, give me 1 or 2 ahas.
The form what you shared is fabulous. I will say your form has saved my lot of mental stress, which I have been going through last couple of days trying to figure out what are the right questions to put in. Thank you.
You're welcome. I am very big on R&D, and like when I teach classes, I always share all of my stuff because again, I don't want any of you all wasting time trying to create this stuff and you're using precious time that you could use to generate business and you don't need to waste it on creating stuff like that. So R&D it, get it going, and you can focus on the actual money making activities. Yep. You had your hand up, Lori?
Yes. Speaking of sharing and R&D, I spent a lot of time trying to create things. When you said I don't have time to spend on non-money making procedures, that was a major aha. I need them all. And what the gentleman prior to me just expressed was what I think every agent needs are these forms to look professional. And so I'm wondering 2 questions. Do you happen to have a good walkthrough checklist by any chance?
Yes, I do. I will send that out to you all as well. Let me put that on my notes. So when I send over the seller's thing, I'll send over a walkthrough checklist.
Now, how do you send that? When you say I'll send it, is it our emails or?
Yeah, I dropped my email in the chat. I'll put it in there again. Where pretty much shoot me an email with your information. And then I'll send it over to you.
Okay, Candace is asking, do you want us to email you? Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm your assistant now. And by the way, is that your AI assistant?
No, that's not mine.
Okay. Do you know anything about that? Because it seems to be pretty handy, but did you read the AI assistant's information?
No, I have.
Oh, okay. It sums up your entire meeting with some highlights and notes. So I was wondering, it says Gwendolyn's AI assistant. Last quick question at the beginning. Well, somewhere in the second half hour, I put in the chat if you could share it, but I don't think you had a moment to do it. And now I forgot what it was. It was the 4 or 7 reasons. Oh, goodness gracious. If my battery didn't die, I could look past my, I have your email and I'll have to think about it and I'll ask you personally. I just don't want to spend too much of your time, but I'll just do it all in one email. But you explained it was great, but we actually need those. And I say we, because I guarantee you if I need it, half the agents out there would love to have, it's basically a script of, you gave us the list, but you didn't give us the words.
Okay.
And they were just a couple of sentences. So, okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely shoot me an email and I can send it out.
Okay. You're so wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Kevin?
Yeah, hey, just real quick, pretty much for everybody. I've been adding each one of the instructors into my database and tagging them as either a KW agent or a partner of KW. I know one person. So that's how I'm utilizing that. And then I also do that and build my network where I let them know I attended your Ignite class and would definitely be interested in staying connected.
And I just dropped my phone number in the chat too, so y'all can have it.
Okay, my aha moment was what you just said about the not adding the neighborhood into the buyer's consultation. I'm glad you said that because I was going to do that. And you said not to add the neighborhood because you want to save time and send out the same thing and you don't need to tailor it each time. That's
Yep.
that's an aha moment because when you start getting busy, you won't have time to to do all those little details like that. So that's a big one for me.
Yep. It's going to get to a point where you have an assistant or a VA, a virtual assistant, that you can have your VA do that. But if you're going to be the one having to do it, it's not worth it. I guarantee you 100% it's not worth you using that extra time to do that. Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about conducting the buyer consultation. So prior to meeting with your buyer, you have already you have a high quality copy of the buyer presentation ready to go. Here's what I do. I use an actual slideshow for my buyer consultation. My slideshow, it goes through every step of the way. And what I will do is I will also email you all a copy of my slideshow for the buyer consultation. Okay. All you're going to have to do is just take my picture off, put your picture on there, change my phone number to your phone number, and you can use that. Again, we are not recreating the wheel. I want you all actively, what did I tell you at the beginning? You're going to do the 5 job descriptions of a realtor. Role play and dialogue. Lead generate, lead follow up, go on appointments, negotiate contracts. You are not going to waste your time creating a buyer consultation slideshow. I am going to send you mine. Just take my name off, take my picture off, add yours on there, okay?
I took yours and I recreated it. It literally just took me like less than 10 minutes to change everything to reflect my information. And it works out like it's the best thing ever. Thank you, Justin.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm not a fan of, oh, you don't have to be techie. Trust me, you do not have to be techie at all. The only thing that you have to do is have a Canva account. If you don't have a Canva account, create you a free Canva account. The link I'm going to send you is a link straight to my slideshow in Canva, and it's going to go into your Canva account, and you can edit it however you want. Okay.
So, should I shoot an email to you about that, or you can be putting the link over here to download?
Yep.
No, should we write an email to you?
Yeah, canva.com. Yeah, so I'm gonna send me an email with your information so I can have your email information, and I'm gonna send you all of that.
Yeah, I have already sent an email for listing, so should I
Okay,
send
perfect.
that email?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll check my email once we're done, and then I can get it to you. Yep. Again, I do not believe in wasting time on creating stuff when you can use that time to generate business. Because what happens is agents spend all their time creating stuff and they don't have nobody to present it to because they used all their time creating it. So now they just looking at it every day for themselves. Okay. All right. Let me get to the slideshow. Perfect. Here we go. All right. They say, I am knowledgeable and caring and the best agent for these clients. They will appreciate my expertise and preparation and choose me to represent them as they buy a home. This is affirmation. So I am very big on affirmations. I'm very big on what are we telling ourselves. So this is one affirmation you can use, or you can create your own. What happens is we are more willing and easier to accept negative thoughts than we are positive. So we have to counterbalance that, and we have to continuously to provide positive thoughts into our mind. That way we are being the best version of ourselves, and we can be the best version of ourselves to our clients as well too. All right. I have to do that. All right, buyer needs analysis. A big part of your buyer consultation is filling out the buyer needs analysis. This is where you listen more than you talk. So the buyer consultation, the slideshow, is going to be a section in there where it's just you listening to your client's needs. This is also when you're going to review the buyer questionnaire that they filled out prior. So to say, hey, Maria, I had you fill out these questions, answer these questions for me. I want to make sure I have it correctly. So let's just confirm and go over the questions that you filled out and answered. And I'm just rereading those questions, and I'm digging in for more information that I may need from it during that time. Okay. Hold on, let me check the chat. Okay, perfect. All right. Love letters. We do not submit love letters. Okay. We do not submit love letters. There is a big lawsuit liability thing that goes on. Your client wants to submit a love letter. Your client offer doesn't get accepted. Your client is going to feel it's because so we're not even going to go through that. You as a listing agent, you already letting them know you do not accept love letters, okay? So we're working with the buyers. We're not submitting pictures of the family, the dog, the kids, love letters. We're not doing any of those things, okay? All right. Ahas from that section.
Could you go back for a second?
Which slide?
Before that one, down. Yeah, I just want to take a screenshot. No, go forward. Forward. Yeah, I'll just take a screenshot of that. Thank you.
Yep. So remember, this is pretty much going more deeper into the questionnaire that we send them, but it's pretty much the same thing. What type of home are you looking for? Single family home, condo, things like that. What type of exterior sided? People will usually tell you that. People will say, look, I want a brick home. I don't want siding. I don't want carpet. They'll let you know exactly those things that they are, that they're looking for.
Hey, Jesse.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, Jesse, so regarding the love letters, and you say it's opening the doors for liability, is that like a chance for the seller to discriminate or something? Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Well, what end up happens is that right now, with everything that's going on with our industry, a buyer can feel that they were discriminated against because of the picture of their family that they sent with the love letter. And they can say, hey, the seller didn't accept my offer because of X, Y, or Z. And I'm going to sue them, and I'm going to sue Keller Williams. I'm going to sue the agent. Like, I'm going to sue everybody. So it opens up for a lot of things. And that probably doesn't even be the case. The seller probably could be like, you offered $40,000 under ask price, then that's why I didn't accept your offer. But they can say it was for another reason. And again, yeah, it's a lot of discriminatory things that can happen.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep. All right. Ahas from that section.
Your offer to give the share the presentation with us. So that's and the checklist what you have shared. So no doubt, you are the great.
My pleasure. I am very big on sharing. Like, it's the better we do as a whole, the better the industry does. It's just better for all of us. So if that means me sharing what works for me, sharing what I use, I am more than willing to do that.
Well, thank you for not being a knowledge hogger, and I want to thank you for providing lots of clarity to the process. I think you did very well today. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
It's gonna come back to you in a different way. All positive things put out will also come back to you. So that's my
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so now we're gonna go into the last part of it, and then we're gonna wrap up. So getting the signed buyer agreement. So with everything that's going on right now, we have to have August 15th or 16th, one of those dates, you're gonna have to have a buyer's broker agreement signed for you to even schedule showings.
August 17th.
August 17th. Thank you, Sonia. You're gonna have to have those to schedule showings. That is a good thing for us, because that's gonna force us to have those conversations that we need to have with buyers at the beginning. Now, we are all in different markets. There's different laws. You have your manager broker. So I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to go over anything where I'm crossing boundaries, because, again, your manager broker, your office attorneys will be able to highlight a lot of those stuff. But we will go through it. Wrapping up the buyer consultation. So at the end of the buyer consultation, I'm going to have that conversation and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, our next step is for us to sign the buyer broker agreement. What the buyer broker's agreement is, it shows that I am representing you in the transaction of purchasing your home, and I am your representation. I am going to negotiate for you, doing the offer letter, doing the inspection, doing the whole way of the process. I am working on your behalf, and I have your best interest in mind. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, the way things are going in this market, there may be a situation where the seller is not paying a cooperative compensation agreement, commission. If that is the case, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, my compensation is X% to help you through this process from step one all the way to closing. Are you okay with that? And then we have the conversation from there. But we have to start having that conversation up front before we do anything, because we want to make sure they know that I haven't seen a lot of it, and this is me speaking. I haven't seen a lot of it where they're not offering compensation, and the way things are going, that may come up in the future. So with us knowing that, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, here's my commission that I charge for representing you, and it's X%. And then you're having that conversation with them right then and there. Okay. Any questions or any concerns or anything around having to have that conversation with buyers about the buyer broker agreement?
Well, you're discussing this at first glance when you first meet with them, before you leave their home or the coffee shop. You have that agreement on you right then and there to get their signature right then and there before you depart.
Correct.
Yeah. So if they still choose not to sign, then the goal would be to just do a follow-up immediately the next day to see if they're still interested in
Yeah, and I'm gonna highlight that, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, that I will not be able to show you any properties unless we have a agreement that I'm representing you. Here's the thing, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, this is across the board. Any agent that you decide to work with, you're gonna have to have this agreement signed before you're able to see any properties. This isn't a Jesse Coleman thing. This isn't a Keller Williams thing. This is a law that all of us have to abide by. So let's do the right thing. Let's get the paperwork signed, put me to work for you so I can get you into your dream home. And then we're going straight from there.
Thank you.
And here's the thing. I want to know if this is somebody that I even want to spend my time on. If I have somebody that's giving me pushback and like, oh, well, I don't want to sign that. I don't want to be committed. Well, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I am not the agent for you. And I'd rather turn you down now than let you down later. So best of luck. If there's anything that you need in the future, you can definitely give me a call and I'll be able to help you then. But right now, I am not the agent that's best for you right now.
So I also have a question about this. So let's say, you have someone and they sign the paperwork, right? Because they want to, go and see some houses or whatever. But then come to find out they also signed with someone else. Like, what's the probability of that happening?
So then it's going to come down to so it's going to be a few things, and each market is different. One, who had the buyer broker agreement signed first, and then two, who was the procuring cause for if they submitted an offer on the property, who was the procuring cause? Who opened the door for them? Who was there to show them that property? So it's different things that'll play into that, but it'll also it'll go to when was the buyer broker agreement signed for each party.
But to save time with that, wouldn't you ask them up front, in the conversation after you've gotten to know them for a quick, with your elevator speech, to simply say, are you currently working with any agent right now? That way you will already know that they have signed with someone else, or they do have another agent, versus just going out with showing them homes only to find out 2 or 3 homes later, out visiting and walking around, that, oh yeah, I have an agent, I forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
Well,
So
actually, sorry, not
I
to
was
cut
just
you
gonna
off. I've
no, I'm gonna
actually
say
had
yes. You
that
can ask
happen.
that question. You can ask that question up front, just to see, and then you can ask them again during the actual consultation.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
Yolanda was also mentioning something as well.
Yeah, they're not gonna always tell you the truth. That's the thing. They can say they're not working with anybody, and then you find out that they was working with 4 agents. Like it's just gonna be stuff that we have to navigate through because they're not gonna always tell you. Let's see. Yes, I do have. Thank you for bringing it up. I do have a survey for you all to fill out for the class. I'll throw that on the screen while I still answer questions. Um, there you go. Yep. So to go back to them, you can ask them the initial conversation you have with them, and then you can ask again as you are going through the actual when you're talking to them about the buyer broker agreement. You can say, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I asked you before, but I just wanted to clarify that you're not currently under contract with another agent, correct?" "No, I'm not." "Okay, perfect. Let's get the paperwork signed so you can put me to work for you." All right, let's open it up. Any other questions, any things that you all have for me?
I'm gonna add you to the Lucky Charm bracelet I'm building with all of the instructors.
Yes, I made it. Woo-hoo. This is Ignite session 14, Win the Buyer. Oh, you're welcome. It's fun because I get to teach this again at an hour to the West Coast people. So I get to have fun for the rest of the evening. And then again, I drop my phone number in the chat and my email address. If you ever need anything, help with anything, you have questions about anything, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always open and willing to help answer questions or provide any resources. So again, if there's anything that you guys ever need, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Oh, that's okay. As long as you put it in there, it don't matter.
Jesse, we should say thank you to you for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And again, if you all need anything, reach out to me, definitely.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks so much, Jesse. This was very helpful.
You're welcome.
This was very helpful class.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, let me get your information, Patrick. Got it. Let me copy it. I got it.
I added mine's in there, Jesse, Sharice Williamson.
Okay, perfect. Let me save that. Yep, let me get all of y'all information. Take that. All right, perfect. We are done. Let me do this.